Since its inception in 1949, Foundation University has carved a place in academia, the home of the Greyhound. This school is a vanguard of technology, innovations, strategy, collaboration, and new directions towards excellence and quality. It has grappled with various challenges, most recently, the worldwide pandemic. Its faculty and staff, students, and alumni remain true to the core values of excellence, commitment, integrity, and service. Foundation University will soon celebrate its Diamond Jubilee anniversary. It stands ready for what the future holds. We have built a community of influence started by founder Dr. Vicente G. SINCO. It is committed to a mission of making education accessible to all. On our 75th, Foundation University thrives to consistently realize its mission and vision, strives to be relevant in the exigencies of the times, comes alive despite circumstances, and in the process makes a headway for a high five to the rest of the world.
High five!
Good evening and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk. Tonight, we're very privileged and fortunate to have with us, direct from Hawaii, an architect and an urban planner, and he's the chairman of the board and president of Foundation University in Dumaguete City, Negros Oriental. To our viewers, let's all welcome my guest for tonight, Dr. Victor Vicente Dean G. Cinco. I fondly call him Dean. Is it okay, boss? Can I call you Dean lang? For the purpose
Yeah,
of
that's fine. And by the way, I have an honorary degree now, so doctor is also appropriate.
That's right. That's right. That's why I called you doctor. For our viewers, please do know that aside from being a doctor, he's also an architect. Dean Cinco is an architect by profession, and it takes time and sacrifices going back and forth to Hawaii and to Foundation University because as you well know, he's the president of Foundation U. So in maybe a few days, you'll be here already, Boss Dean.
Well, I leave here May 15, so I'll be there 17.
Okay, that's good to hear. So at least if we interview, it will be live already. Not no longer. Anyways, Foundation University is celebrating, just like the Dumaguete City, its 75th Diamond Jubilee anniversary, And I invited Dean to be our guest for tonight so that he can share briefly his thoughts and talk about the developments, ongoing developments, and a bit of the past of Foundation University and other things and concerns that he can surely help out the city. And Foundation University is one of the mainstays, really, of Dumaguete City, as far as the academy is concerned. Now, Dean, let me ask you, for purposes of our viewers all over Negros Oriental, briefly share with us the early beginnings of Foundation University.
Well, I can tell you what I've heard. I personally wasn't there, so I can only tell you a story.
Yeah, of course.
But as the story goes, my grandfather went to Silliman Institute, which what it was called at the time, and it basically took an arm and a leg, his family, to send him there. And his expectation was he would see friends from the farm, some of his farm friends, and his question was, "Where's the rest of the people? All I see is rich people here." And come to find out, that's really how that school was designed for. Mm-hmm. So at that point in time, he decided that he would establish his own school for everybody else. Mm-hmm. So basically an equal opportunity educator. And that happened many years later. So that was 1949 when he finally was able to open the school.
Now, let me ask you, Dean, over the years, have you been able to maintain the ideals and of the founder until today? Because as you well know, education is quite expensive right now. But how were you able to maintain it?
We were able to maintain the cost, relatively speaking. I
Hmm.
mean, it's a lot more than it used to be before, but it's nowhere near some of the other institutions. Yeah, and we're just very frugal and very uh, efficient with the use of our facilities, our instructors, and especially these days, we're using a lot of technology,
Hmm.
which reduces the cost significantly as far as distributing educational material.
Yeah.
It hasn't been easy. It's been difficult. Uh, Sometimes our departments have to wait months for whatever they request because the
Mhm.
cash just isn't available. But we do make it a promise that we eventually will fulfill the need. So we've been able to do it. And actually, now that enrollment has increased, even before pre-COVID numbers,
Yeah.
so we've been able to get a little more money, and it has given us a little more liberty in terms of funding our programs or facilities.
Yeah. I know for a fact that the university, Foundation University, has been a leading, um, you can say, trailblazer in terms of IT, no? Information technology and the use of technology in the university. Um, has this helped you in terms of your being president and the way things are here in Hawaii and going back to Dumaguete? Has this helped you in terms of managing the university and its affairs?
As far as IT is concerned, I've been utilizing IT for easily 15 years now. So
Wow.
for me personally, with school and with my business, it hasn't been such a challenge. The real challenge came in when COVID came around, and all of a sudden there's no face to face. But we're already, I would say, about 50% into using technology for teaching
Mm-hmm.
and learning. So it wasn't that difficult for us to make the transition. The first semester was a bit of a challenge because, you know, everyone, well, a lot of people still think that uh, information, IT is basically just turning on the camera and jumping on Zoom, right? So
That's right.
that's exactly what it isn't. So we had to learn the hard way because everybody that's been on Zoom, especially on meetings, they know that within 5 minutes it's kind of boring, and so it's even worse in the classroom. So we learned we actually hired some specialists on how to help us make Zoom sessions more interesting and more engaging for the students. So after the first semester, we really flipped it around, and then from then on, we haven't really turned back. As a matter of fact, at this point in time, I believe next year we'll be doing this. We'll be combining both online and in-person classes.
Wow.
So you can attend classes online or in person, or if you can't do either at the same time, you can just watch the recording later on.
Yeah,
So that so
I know for a fact that you were when you started off, you were vice president for finance and administration. How
yeah.
long has it been that you've been president of the university? It's been what, 15 years?
Uh, you might know better than me. I forget already.
Okay, let's talk
Uh,
about maybe
I
about
could
two
say
decades already. Yeah.
no, 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 no. It's been maybe 8, 9 years already. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So since you are now the at the helm of the university for some time, um, let me ask you, what do you consider the most challenging period of the university, Foundation University, and how did it impact the growth of the institution? I mean, you've been in the fast-paced growth of the university as president, and what did you consider as the most challenging period at the time?
It really was the COVID in the first semester of COVID. Actually, the first year, it was beyond challenging. It was really quite frightening because with the
Yeah.
numbers that we had, the numbers, the income, the expenses. It was really, really quite a harsh reality that we may have to close
Wow.
because it just the numbers are just not working.
Uh-huh.
And and everybody that was working for the school, well, still working at the time because we had to cut down by half. And even with half, we were still challenged financially. But luckily, the half that was left were willing to sacrifice when they would receive pay. Some people, such as myself,
Mm.
well, the higher admin people, didn't get paid for a year.
Mm.
And so, I mean, some people went on half salary, then quarter salary, then delayed salary. I mean, it was a serious challenge, but we really have to be very thankful for our own people for making that sacrifice and allowing us to operate in those trying times. The
Mhm.
good thing is we lasted the first year of COVID, and the following year we doubled our enrollment. I mean, we went down as low as 800 students
Wow.
from kindergarten all the way up to postgraduate.
Mm.
And the following year, it jumped up to 1,600. So with 1,600, those aren't great numbers, but are that really helped us function for the second year.
Mm. So have you maintained, I know, again, I know for a fact that you're a non-stock, non-profit educational institution of higher learning. And have you maintained that? I mean to say you have not, let's say there's no other agency that helps you out in terms of finances and running the school.
Not yet. I wish there were. I'm still working on that. I'm trying to get not just alumni participation, but also friends here in Hawaii that understand the need and are willing to assist. So I'm still working on that.
No.
Maybe soon. Maybe soon. I'm crossing my fingers.
Okay. And then, this is quite admirable considering that the operation of the university depends specifically on the tuition and miscellaneous that the students pay. So really, financial management comes into the fray. And let me ask you, Dean, um, I mean, you could have just offered, based on your mission vision, that offered scholarships, but running a school, Dean, huh? And you could have afforded not to run a university, but maybe full-time architect or did something else. But why have you decided to continue on running a university with all the problems and all the concerns that you receive on a daily basis?
You're not the only one that asked me that question. I ask myself that at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes. But in all seriousness, the idea that my grandfather had is really quite a beautiful idea, and I don't think he had at that point in time when he had this idea. He thought of it as a gift to the people in Negros, but it is now operating in that mode where we make a lot of sacrifices. We do the best we can with the resources that we have, and it basically comes down to it is a gift. I mean, of course, you're paying for it, but unlike the other institutions, we're nowhere near that kind of price.
Mhm.
And why am I doing this? Because
Yes,
it needs to be maintained. Because if we didn't do it, the only thing left would be the expensive schools. And the sad thing about the expensive school is, I mean, they have their own demographic to draw from as far as students. But the sad thing is, just like my grandfather said, what about everybody else?
correct.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the whole reason that's the main reason we maintain that. We're actually have now not so much changed course, but have expanded our horizons where we are entertaining also uh, kids from more affluent families. So
Mhm.
we're trying to create a better mix of students or not so much a better mix, but a more universal mix of students at the school.
In terms of tertiary programs, I know you offer grade school and high school, no, in the university. But in terms of tertiary programs, aside from the old programs that we usually offer, what are the latest in terms of academic programs that you are offering?
Well, the programs that are the newest, and they're not really new anymore because they're I believe 9 or 10 years old already, is arts, fine arts, and DAFA, and well, I take that back. The newest one is criminology.
Mm-hmm.
That's a joke. Oh no, what? Take that back one more time. Next year we'll be offering. I don't remember exactly what the course is, but it's basically a law course. I believe it's 2 years
Mm-hmm.
for people that are not necessarily interested in becoming full-fledged lawyers, but more like paralegals.
Okay.
So we're starting the next academic year. That would
Okay.
be the new offering.
Wow. Okay. Now, let's talk about infrastructure developments. This is our exciting times in Foundation University. I was recently invited to be there during your uh, what's that building? The FAT building, I think.
That FPA Science Wing, it was an extension of the existing high school building.
Yeah, for the benefit of our viewers, what are the ongoing infrastructure developments, and at the same time, what are future plans in terms of infrastructure developments, Dean?
Well, the Science Wing, when we were there over a month ago, some people told me it's kind of rustic.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's because it's not finished. But it will be finished towards the end of the month. And then what will be happening is our manpower will be slowly shifting towards the nursing building. And so that's the next building. That's a 7-story building because we're anticipating our enrollment for nursing to go from just under 1,000 to close to 2,000 by next year. So we need that many classrooms. And I believe, let's see, how many classrooms that's 28 classrooms more that we'll be getting.
Okay.
And these aren't just classrooms, these are labs and lecture halls that we'll be building the building for. So that's at the North Campus in the back where the clay lab used to be. Now, after that, and I'm not quite sure yet the order because it depends on the demand. It actually depends on the enrollment for next year.
Okay.
But we're also expanding the library. For those of you that know where the museum is, we're extending over the museum 2 stories. So we'll make the library roughly about a third bigger than it is now.
Mm.
And then the biggest one, the biggest project will be the Department of Fine Arts and Sciences, which will also house hospitality management.
Mm.
I don't know exactly what the square meter size is, but it's a 6-story building,
Mm.
and it has, I believe, she's almost, well, around 25 classrooms and 5 AVRs.
Wow.
And in the middle is a volleyball court.
Mm.
So
Wow.
that one, depending on how things go, some people want me to start immediately after the nursing. The nursing will be finished in about a year. So
Mm.
about this time next year, the nursing will be occupiable. And at about a month after that or so, we'll begin either the library or the Department of Arts and Fine, Architecture and Fine Arts.
Mm.
And then the other projects following that, and those are down the road because that also depends on enrollment. We'll be adding a third floor to the engineering building for criminology because
Mm.
they're ballooning. They're at 300 now, and they're anticipating going up to 600 the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
What else would be? And there's lots of little improvements all over. We're renovating like the CRs. We have the only non-gender specific CRs, I believe, on the entire island.
That's right.
And it's kind of funny because I came up with the idea because I got a little bit disgusted with how boys behave around girls,
Uh-huh.
or actually in the college, it's men around women.
Uh-huh.
And we started this at the FPA at high school,
Mm.
and we didn't have any trouble at all.
Mm.
Everybody actually kind of liked the idea. The parents, especially, I thought they would have real problems with it, but the parents don't have any problems with it. Funny, the only ones that have problems with it are the men in college.
Mm.
They are so uncomfortable with so many women hanging out over there. They just go in, do their business, and just take off.
How about the? I understand you're finishing off also a hotel for the alumni.
Well, the alumni is about a third finished. The entire floor is there, but the rooms are not done.
Mhm.
And depending on, this is what I mean by I'm trying to get funding from here. Depending on that, we might have by December one or two more suites finished,
Mhm.
or if I get all the funding, maybe by June of next year, the entire hotel will be finished. So the entire hotel compromises of eight suites, and then two bed areas separated by men and women, and each side has 18 bunks.
Mhm.
So hopefully I can get the funding for that.
Okay. Yeah, talk about the alumni association. How strong and important is the role of the alumni in the development of the university itself?
Well, we kind of lost them during COVID, and so we're recovering, and many classes show great interest in participating again.
Mm.
So that we're basically just in a recovery period right now. But I did have a talk with one of the alumni before I left, and she wanted to donate something to the hotel. So I
Yeah.
told her, well, I started off with one room, and that was too expensive for them. So I said, "What about the air conditioning?" She said, "Okay, we can handle that." So, and these are not window units; these are split units. So it's a nice donation.
You are talking the past, Dino, several discussions in the past. Not only are you concerned specifically in strengthening internal developments in the university, but you see the university as a way of trying to also educate the community as to how it should develop in terms of urbanizing, in terms of infrastructure developments. And you, as an architect, as an academician, and as an urban planner can really have done really a lot for the development of the city itself. And also you're extending even as far as the other towns and in the province itself. Now, talk about what has been done over the years in terms of your outreach community projects uh, in Negros Oriental.
But the main one, actually, the biggest impact one is the Studio Damgo. We're now at number 12, so 12 years, uh, 12 projects in 12 years, and it's basically the senior program for architecture students. They need to go through that in order to graduate. And basically, it comes down to a small, well, so far they're not small, and I've been trying to keep it to 30 square meters,
Mhm.
but the biggest one went up as high as 200 square meters, and it's led some challenges to finishing on time. But this following year, we're reducing the size to about 20 to 30 square meters so that it can be accomplished by the time they graduate. But
Mm.
basically, the whole premise behind that project is, this is not original by me. This is original by an architect from Auburn University. His name is Sambo Mockbee. And the premise of the project is not just to give the kids experience before they even finish, because after they finish, many architectural graduates do not get to do anything close to what they're doing in their final year.
Yes.
But the basic premise is that design is for everybody. Design is not just for the affluent, it's for everybody. And some people are wondering, what do you mean by that? Well, just think about something as simple as, and taken for granted, spoons and forks. That's
Mm.
design.
Okay.
The size of an ice cube, that's designed. Bricks, blocks, cars,
Mm.
tricycles, almost everything that surrounds us in our daily life has been designed, and it's just so assimilated into our lives that we forget that it is designed. I mean, spoons and forks, we were all eating with our hands before, right?
Yeah.
And actually, even napkins. A weird thing about napkins is bread was used as a napkin because no one had spoons or forks, right?
Yeah.
So that was a napkin before.
Oh,
And, only the rich were able to first afford a spoon, then eventually a fork.
okay.
So that's what I mean. It's design. Design is should be accessible by all, and that's what this Studio Damgo project does. It addresses the needs of either a community or a group of people that are financially challenged. They have the only resource they may have is the land, but they don't have anything else. They have all these ideas of what they want to do with their land,
Mhm.
but that's all they have. So that's where we come in.
Okay. As an urban planner also, Dean, let me, tickle your thoughts on how do you see Dumaguete City uh, should go in terms of development? And if you have to urbanize, specifically on the boulevard aspect, I know you have strong thoughts and plans for that. Maybe you can share to the Nagreses what your thoughts are in that regard.
Well, the thoughts of design, it's not just urban planning, but just buildings, interior, everything related to design.
Okay.
Here in the US, there's a big thrust on sustainability and environment. And
Mhm.
so almost everything that we do from the design standpoint has to take into consideration what are the long-term benefits and actually mainly benefits, and we try to erase all the disadvantages of a particular design. On the boulevard, I know those seawalls have been there for decades,
Yes.
and all the climate scientists now believe that seawalls are destructive, and you can kind of see that up and down the coast of Negros, where a seawall has caused erosion either upstream or downstream from the wave action, and it's to the point that places like here in Hawaii, they're removing seawalls.
Mhm.
Okay, they're trying to make people remove. There's a lot of resistance because in general, people feel that a seawall protects the property.
Mhm.
And in the short term, it does, but in the long term, it damages not just your property, but everybody else's. And that's a very big environmental consideration. So the one thing I wish one of these days about the boulevard is for those of you that remember the boulevard as being a beach,
Mhm.
that's what I want to bring it back to, is a beach. Now, some people will say, well, what about, rising tides and all that kind of stuff? There are many, many ways to address that without having to build a seawall. Many, many ways.
Mhm.
But it just takes just the right attitude and open mind to be able to look at those kind of ideas and actually listen to the experts. I mean, there aren't that many experts in this, including myself, in the Philippines, but bring in people from outside that have experienced these kind of erosion issues and
Uh,
see what they have to say, because they've come up with the solutions, they have the experience, they have the track record. So let's do it. I mean, I don't want to see the boulevard disappear. Actually, the boulevard is a landfill, from based on what I've seen historically, the boulevard is a landfill from the beach used to be where Quezon Park is now. That's
yeah,
where it used to be, and it's a
correct.
landfill.
Uh,
So, I mean, everybody has gotten accustomed to where it is now, but you would all hate to lose it because of bad design practices as far as urban planning is concerned.
yes. Talk about traffic, Dean. Let me pick your idea. How do you think, as an architect and as an urban planner, would you resolve traffic here in Dumaguete?
Oh, I'm going to be very unpopular with this.
Just say it. Say it. Say things.
Uh, One, my particular opinion is there are too many pedicab franchises, too many
Okay.
licenses, too many pedicabs.
Mm.
Two, the implementation of parking for properties was okay in the 40s and the 50s, but today, with the density that we have in the city, it needs to be modified extensively to the point that where everybody parks just off the street, nose in and then back up into the traffic. That
Right.
needs to that needs to change. That needs to go away. Everybody needs to develop parking within the property, not
Oh,
just off the road, but inside of the property. So you drive in and then you drive out. Now, a lot of people will say, "Well, my property is too small for that." Well, there is this thing uh, called community development where several landowners can get together put their lands together and build something bigger, and they can share in the proceeds. It's been done here. It's not difficult. It just takes again trust in something new. The other one is because I just read the other day that, or saw in the news the other day, that Asia used to be below the United States just 5 years ago in air pollution.
Mm.
And now Asia, all of Asia, is now above the United States and other developing countries in pollution. And the leader is China.
Okay.
And so as far as the city is concerned, I know we'll never get rid of mass transit such as pedicabs, but it would be nice if we could switch over to electric. Some cities on Negros already have electric pedicabs. I believe Bayoan has, and I believe I think Bacolod or somewhere there they also have their own,
Mm.
and they work quite well. And a nice thing about electric pedicab, it's quiet. I don't know if you notice how noisy Dumaguete is because of primarily the motorcycle engine noise. It's just unbelievably noisy. So those would be some of the things that I would like to see happen. The other thing too is come up with a more comprehensive urban plan, because right now everybody's just building whatever, wherever, and that I can understand the need for generating income from your assets, but at the same time, we need to follow some sort of cohesive plan that doesn't destroy the city.
Okay. Now, going back to Foundation University, after 75 years, Dean, uh, what what is it that you're most proud of about Foundation University?
We survived. That's it. Because, during COVID, you know how many schools shut down?
Yes.
And especially schools that were subsidized. We're not subsidized. And that's the one thing I'm very proud of, especially of our people, and it's helping us in achieve this,
Mm.
because the school, I don't care what anyone else says, but I believe any institution that can push through with quality is a needed asset in any community. And I went to a seminar a long time ago, Paasku or Pakuko, I can't remember which one, that basically said there was a keynote speaker that said, whatever you do, think 10 times before you even consider closing your school, because that has a huge impact on the community, regardless of the size of the city. So even like a city of Manila with 15 million people, if one school shuts down, that is a huge impact on the entire community. Can you
Yeah.
just imagine Dumaguete with only 150,000 people?
Uh-huh.
So that's my proudest moment is when we survived that first year, and the second year we doubled. And I don't know if it's a combination of pride, relief, and just joy that we could go on, we could keep going. And ever since then, we've been getting better and better. And it's just really quite joyful. And coming up to the 75th, when you were around during the 50th, and
Yes.
at some point during COVID, I was wondering, are we going to make it that far? It was really serious, very, very serious.
That's right. Uh, Moving forward, how do you see Foundation University years from now? What do you want? How do you want to see Foundation University moving forward?
I still see it as a gift to the community, but I'd like to see Foundation University to be more international in scope. I mean, not necessarily expanding our borders internationally. What I'm thinking about is more participating with the international think tanks. I mean, that's the one thing, being off the beaten track in Dumaguete, is our exposure to new ideas, philosophies, all of that is fairly limited. So what I like to do is see it expand to that level of scope, as far as the institution is concerned. Well, that's the way universities are supposed to be. They're supposed to be universal in terms of learning and teaching knowledge. And so I'd like to see it go that way, that much further. I'd also like to see it not necessarily family run. I'd like to reward the people that have become that are very, how do you say, very committed in mind and spirit to the school and understand the mission. I mean, like I said earlier, I don't think my grandfather even knew what kind of monster he was coming up with, but this is a very, very nice monster that we have now. I mean, it's
Correct.
just going to,
That's right.
yeah.
That's right. Now, Dean, finally, um, kindly share your thoughts and message to all your stakeholders, students, teachers, alumni, partner institutions, and parents of Foundation University. Share your thoughts to the message to the community, to the Negros Island, and to Dumaguete City as you celebrate your 75th anniversary.
Well, I said this before, because I can't remember who asked me this question. It was probably you at the time, many years ago.
Yeah.
But it's still at this point in time, as it was many years ago, I was still kind of saddened by the fact that people would leave Dumaguete in the Philippines for better pastures, especially after graduating. And I believe we are at a point now where we have the ability to turn the tide, where if people understood the value of staying in the Philippines and utilizing their talents locally, I believe we're going in that direction. And I'd like everyone to understand that that is our thrust. Our thrust is not just to educate so that you can export yourself. Our thrust is to educate so that you can eventually contribute to the community, contribute well. As a matter of fact, they always talk over here about, I can be the next president. I'd like to see our students feel that way, that's what they would like to be, is a leader.
Okay. Dean, thank you very much for sitting with me tonight, and really quite a pleasure and honor. We'll have several more talks as you progress into the 75th year. Maybe you can share more details about the activities that are upcoming, but definitely this is not the last.
I have something for you that you'll like in December. My friend from Hawaii is coming down, and he'll be showing how AI is applied to architecture.
Wow, that's good.
You'll be blown away.
Expecting that, Dean. Anyways, that's our guest for tonight, the president of Foundation University on their celebration of their 75th Diamond Jubilee anniversary, just like the Dumaguete City. Victor Vicente G. Cinco, or fondly called, as I call him, Dean Cinco. Dean, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That's our episode for tonight. Be well, and let's keep talking.
Since its inception in 1949, Foundation University has carved a place in academia, the home of the Greyhound. This school is a vanguard of technology, innovations, strategy, collaboration, and new directions towards excellence and quality. It has grappled with various challenges, most recently the worldwide pandemic. Its faculty and staff, students, and alumni remain true to the core values of excellence, commitment, integrity, and service. Foundation University will soon celebrate its Diamond Jubilee anniversary. It stands ready for what the future holds. We have built a community of influence started by founder Dr. Vicente G. Cinco. It is committed to a mission of making education accessible to all. On our 75th, Foundation University thrives to consistently realize its mission and vision, strives to be relevant in the exigencies of the times, comes alive despite circumstances, and in the process makes a headway for a high five to the rest of the world.
High five!